Park Do-hyun woke up at 3 in the afternoon because he worked the night shift at a small convenience store. His apartment was tiny. It had one room, one window, and a bathroom so small he could touch both walls at the same time. The walls were thin, and he could hear his neighbor singing badly every morning. He was 28 years old. He had no girlfriend, no car, and no big dreams. His life was simple. He went to work, came home, slept, and repeated everything the next day. On weekends, he liked to visit the flea market near the old train station. He never bought much because he did not have much money, but he liked to look at things, old things, strange things, things that other people threw away. On this particular Saturday, the weather was hot and sticky. Do-hyun wore his oldest t-shirt and walked slowly through the crowded market. Old women sold vegetables. Young men sold phone cases. One man sold nothing but broken clocks. Then Do-hyun saw a stall he had never noticed before. An old man sat behind a table covered with strange objects. They looked like movie props. There were things that looked like weapons from science fiction films. There were rocks that glowed faintly. There were devices with buttons that did nothing when pressed. The old man looked nervous. His eyes moved left and right like he was watching for someone. When Do-hyun approached, the old man almost jumped out of his chair. "Looking for something special?" the old man asked. His voice was shaky. Do-hyun shrugged. "Just looking." His eyes moved across the table and stopped on a small metal sphere. It was about the size of a baseball. The surface was covered with tiny geometric patterns that seemed to shift when he looked at them from different angles. The metal was tarnished and dark, like it had been buried underground for a very long time. "What is this?" Do-hyun asked, pointing at the sphere. The old man's face changed. He looked almost afraid. "That thing. I want to get rid of it." "Take it." 10,000 won. 10,000 won was about 10 American dollars. Do-hyun could afford that. But he was curious about the old man's reaction. "Why so cheap?" he asked. "It gives me bad dreams," the old man said quickly. "Every night since I found it. Please, just take it." Do-hyun did not believe in curses or magic. He thought the old man was just strange. But the sphere was interesting to look at. And $10 was not much money. He paid the old man and put the sphere in his pocket. The old man looked relieved. He started packing up his stall immediately, even though the market would not close for hours. Do-hyun went home and forgot about the sphere. He took a shower, made instant noodles, and sat down to eat while watching a drama on his small television. The sphere sat on his table, reflecting the light from the screen. After he finished eating, he picked up the sphere again. He rubbed it with his thumb, trying to clean some of the tarnish. The geometric patterns felt strange under his fingers. They were not carved into the metal. They seemed to be part of the metal itself, like the sphere had grown that way. Then something happened. A thin line of golden light appeared around the middle of the sphere. Do-hyun almost dropped it. The line grew brighter. He heard a soft clicking sound, like a lock opening. Then the sphere split in half. Golden light exploded from inside. It was so bright that Do-hyun had to close his eyes. The light filled his entire apartment. He could see it even through his closed eyelids. Then a voice spoke. But it did not speak out loud. It spoke directly inside his mind. "Genetic signature verified," the voice said. "Neural architecture. Compatible. Species classification. Human. Planet of origin. Earth. Congratulations. You have been selected as the 147th Emperor of the Galactic Throne." Do-hyun opened his eyes. The golden light had dimmed. The two halves of the sphere floated in the air in front of him, spinning slowly. Between them, a small holographic image appeared. It showed a crown made of light. "What?" Do-hyun said. His voice was weak. "What did you say?" The voice spoke again. "You have been selected as Emperor. The Sphere of Ascension has searched for 5,000 years to find a worthy successor. You are that successor. Please prepare for transport to the Imperial flagship." "No, no, no." Do-hyun said. He backed away until he hit the wall. This is not real. I ate some bad noodles. I am dreaming. This is a dream. This is not a dream, the voice said calmly. Transport will begin in approximately 3 minutes. Do-hyun ran to his window and looked outside. The sky had changed. Where there should have been clouds and blue sky, there was now something massive. A ship. A ship so big that it blocked out the sun. It hung in the air above Busan like a floating city. Lights blinked along its surface. Do-hyun could see smaller ships moving around it like insects around a giant animal. People in the street were screaming. Cars had stopped. Everyone was looking up. This cannot be happening, Do-hyun whispered. But it was happening. He could hear sirens in the distance. He could hear helicopters. He could hear the deep hum of the massive ship above. The sphere spoke again. Transport beginning. Please remain still. A beam of light came down from the sky. It hit Do-hyun's apartment building. Everything around him became white. He felt himself lifting off the ground. His instant noodle bowl floated up beside him. His television floated. His cheap furniture floated. Then he was gone. When the light faded, Do-hyun was no longer in his apartment. He was standing on a floor made of something that looked like black glass. The ceiling was so high above him that he could barely see it. Lights floated in the air without any wires or supports, and he was surrounded by aliens. They were everywhere, tall beings with silver skin and large dark eyes, massive creatures covered in hard shells like insects, things that looked like floating clouds of crystal, beings with 4 arms, beings with no arms, beings that did not seem to have bodies at all. All of them were looking at him. All of them bowed. Do-hyun stood there in his old t-shirt, with noodle stains on his shorts, holding half of a metal sphere in each hand. He had not showered properly. He had not shaved in 3 days. He was wearing flip-flops, and apparently, he was now the emperor of the galaxy. I want to go home, he said quietly. Nobody listened. The aliens did not stop bowing for a very long time. Do-hyun stood there, feeling stupid and scared, waiting for someone to explain what was happening. His flip-flops made a squeaking sound every time he shifted his weight. The sound echoed in the massive room. Finally, one of the aliens stepped forward. He was tall, maybe 7 feet, with blue-gray skin and 4 arms. He wore robes made of something that looked like liquid silver. His face had features similar to a human, but his eyes were completely black, like deep pools of oil. Your Imperial Majesty, the alien said. His voice was deep and formal. I am Tarek, High Steward of the Eternal Mandate. This vessel has waited 5,000 years for your arrival. We are honored beyond words. Do-hyun's mouth opened and closed several times before he could speak. I think there has been a mistake. There is no mistake, Tarek said. The sphere of ascension does not make mistakes. It has scanned trillions of minds across tens of thousands of worlds. It has rejected every candidate for 5 millennia. Until today. Until you. Do-hyun looked down at the 2 halves of the sphere in his hands. They had stopped glowing, and now looked like ordinary metal again. This thing? I bought it for $10 at a flea market. A murmur went through the crowd of aliens. Some of them looked shocked. Others looked offended. One creature that looked like a giant insect made a clicking sound that might have been laughter. Tarek remained calm. The sphere was lost 5,000 years ago when the 146th emperor died without naming an heir. Since then, it has traveled across the galaxy, searching. It appears that it eventually found its way to your planet. To your market. To you. But I am nobody, Do-hyun said. I work at a convenience store. I sell cigarettes and instant coffee. I cannot be an emperor. The sphere has chosen, Tarek said simply. Its choice cannot be questioned. Another alien approached. This one was smaller, with silver skin that seemed to shine from within. She had large eyes that changed color as she moved, shifting from blue to green to purple. Perhaps we should give the new emperor some time to adjust, she said. Her voice was soft, like music. He has experienced much in a short time. Tarek nodded. Of course. Lady Mireille, please escort His Majesty to the Imperial quarters. Do-hyun noticed something. Wait. Mireille? That is a Korean name. The silver-skinned alien smiled. Your language has spread further than you know, Your Majesty. When the sphere was lost, it was near a ship that had been studying your planet. Some of our culture has been influenced by yours over the centuries. This was too much information. Do-hyun felt dizzy. Lady Mireille gently took his arm and led him through the crowd of bowing aliens. They walked down a long corridor with walls that seemed to be made of light. Windows showed the stars outside, and in the distance, Do-hyun could see Earth. His planet looked small and blue and very far away. I want to go home, he said again. Lady Mireille's expression became sad. I understand, Your Majesty, but I must tell you something important. If you reject the crown, a succession war will begin. Every major civilization in the galaxy will fight for the throne. The last succession war killed 4 trillion beings. Do-hyun stopped walking. 4 trillion? The throne controls the jump gates, Lady Mireille explained. Without the gates, travel between stars takes centuries. Whoever controls the throne controls all trade, all communication, all movement between worlds. Everyone wants it. And everyone will fight for it. So I have no choice? You have a choice, Lady Mireille said. But the cost of saying no is very high. They continued walking. The Imperial quarters turned out to be a suite of rooms larger than Do-hyun's entire apartment building. The bed could fit 20 people. The bathroom had a pool instead of a bathtub. The closet was full of robes made from materials he had never seen before. And standing in the middle of the main room was a human woman. She was young, maybe 25, with short black hair and glasses. She wore jeans and a t-shirt with an English logo. She looked just as confused and scared as Do-hyun felt. Oh, thank God, she said in Korean. Another human. Please tell me you understand what is happening because I have no idea. Do-hyun stared at her. Who are you? How did you get here? I am Kang Yuna, she said. I was visiting my grandmother in Busan. I was walking down the street when a beam of light grabbed me, and now I am here on an alien spaceship and everyone keeps bowing and calling me honored guest, and I think I am going crazy. Lady Mireille spoke gently. When we transported the Emperor, anyone within a certain radius was also brought aboard. We did not wish to leave witnesses who might cause panic on your planet. So you kidnapped us, Yuna said flatly. We relocated you temporarily, Lady Mireille corrected. That is kidnapping with extra words. Despite everything, Do-hyun almost smiled. This woman was not afraid to speak her mind. Even to aliens. What did you do on Earth? He asked her. I am an astrophysicist, Yuna said. I study stars and space. I work at a university in America. And now I am actually in space. And it is nothing like I imagined. Where is the science? Where are the research papers? Why is everyone treating this like a fantasy novel? Tarek entered the room. His expression was serious. Your Majesty, we have a problem. Word of your selection has spread across the galaxy. The major powers are not happy. Not happy how? Do-hyun asked. Lord Veen of the Dominion has issued a formal challenge. He demands the right of supremacy. Lady Mireille's face went pale. Even Yuna, who did not understand what was happening, could tell this was bad news. What is the right of supremacy? Do-hyun asked. Tarek's dark eyes were grim. It is an ancient tradition. Any being may challenge the Emperor's right to rule. The challenge consists of 3 tests. A test of combat, a test of wisdom, a test of will. If the Emperor fails any test, he dies, and the challenger takes the throne. And if I refuse the challenge, then you die immediately and the challenger takes the throne. Do-hyun sat down heavily on the enormous bed. His flip-flops fell off his feet. He was a convenience store worker who had bought a strange ball at a flea market this morning. Now he was apparently going to have to fight for his life against an alien warlord. How long do I have? He asked. 3 days, Tarek said. Yuna stepped forward. Then we have 3 days to prepare. I do not know anything about alien politics or ancient rituals, but I know how to research. Show me your libraries. Show me your archives. If there is a way to survive this, I will find it. Do-hyun looked at her with surprise. Why would you help me? You do not even know me. Yuna pushed her glasses up her nose. Because you are human. And right now, you are the only thing standing between Earth and a galaxy that thinks we are primitive animals. If you fail, what do you think happens to our planet? She was right. Do-hyun had not thought about that. He was not just fighting for himself. He was fighting for every human being on Earth. He stood up and put his flip-flops back on. They were ridiculous shoes for an emperor, but they were his shoes. Okay, he said. Let us begin. Yuna did not sleep for 2 days. The imperial archives were vast beyond imagination. They contained records going back 50,000 years, covering hundreds of civilizations and billions of events. She read everything she could find about the right of supremacy. She studied ancient laws and forgotten traditions. She drank something that the aliens called stimulant tea, which kept her awake but made her hands shake. Do-hyun tried to help, but the archives were overwhelming. He was not a scholar. He had barely finished high school. So instead, he did something else. He talked to people. He walked through the ship and spoke to every alien he met. He asked them about their lives, their families, their homes. Most of them were shocked that the Emperor would speak to them directly. Some were suspicious. But slowly, they began to talk. He learned that the galaxy was not a happy place. The old empire had fallen apart after the last emperor died. Without a central authority, the great civilizations had divided into factions. Some were rich and powerful. Others were poor and desperate. And many were angry, because they felt they had been forgotten. On the second night, Tariq found Do-hyun in the lower decks of the ship, sitting with a group of maintenance workers. They were small creatures with gray skin and large ears, and they were sharing a meal with the Emperor as if he were one of them. Your Majesty, Tariq said carefully. Perhaps you should be preparing for the challenge instead of socializing. Do-hyun looked up. I am preparing. I am learning. Learning what? Learning who I am supposed to lead. He gestured at the workers around him. Did you know that these people have not received a pay increase in 400 years? Did you know that their children cannot attend the same schools as other species? Did you know that they are not allowed to own property on most worlds? Tariq was silent. How can I be an emperor if I do not know my people? Do-hyun asked. How can I fight for them if I do not understand their pain? That night, Yuna burst into his quarters with excitement in her eyes. I found it, she said. I found a way. She spread holographic documents across the table. The right of supremacy has 3 parts: combat, wisdom, and will. The Emperor can choose champions for physical combat. This is normal. But here is the important part. She pointed at a passage written in an ancient script. The tests of wisdom and will must be faced personally, but the rules do not define how they must be won. What do you mean? The combat test is not about who is stronger, Yuna explained. It is about who is more worthy of leading warriors. You do not have to defeat your opponent. You have to prove that you are a better leader than him. Do-hyun thought about this. So I could win without fighting? Maybe. The ancient texts are not clear. But there is precedent. 8,000 years ago, an emperor won the combat trial by simply talking to his opponent until the opponent surrendered. The arena recognized it as a victory. What did he say? Yuna hesitated. The records do not say. But I think he found something that his opponent needed. Something more important than winning. The day of the challenge arrived. The arena was a massive sphere floating in space near the throne world. Billions of beings watched through holographic broadcasts. This was the most important event in 5,000 years. Lord Veen was terrifying. He stood 8 feet tall, with scales the color of dried blood and eyes like yellow fire. His people, the Dominion, were warriors. They had conquered 100 worlds through strength alone. Veen himself had killed thousands of enemies in personal combat. Do-hyun stood on the opposite side of the arena in borrowed armor that did not fit properly. He looked small and ridiculous compared to his opponent. Human, Veen's voice boomed across the arena. You insult us by existing. The throne belongs to the strong, not to primitives from backwater worlds. Prepare to die. Do-hyun did not move. Lord Ven, before we begin, may I ask you a question? Ven seemed surprised. A question? You wish to waste time with questions? Just one, please. The massive alien snorted. Ask then. It will be your last words. Why are you really here? Veen's eyes narrowed. What do you mean? I am here to take the throne. But why? Your people already control 100 worlds. You are already powerful. What does the throne give you that you do not already have? For a moment, something flickered in Veen's yellow eyes. Something that looked almost like pain. Then it was gone. Replaced by anger. You know nothing about my people. Then tell me. Veen charged. His massive body crossed the arena in seconds. His clawed hand reached for Do-hyun's throat. Do-hyun did not move. He did not flinch. He just kept talking. I spent the last 3 days learning about the galaxy, he said calmly, even as death approached. I learned about your people, Lord Vane. I learned that the Dominion worlds are dying. Your sons are growing cold. Your crops are failing. Your children are hungry. Veen's hand stopped inches from Do-hyun's face. His yellow eyes were wide with shock. I learned that you asked the Trade Council for help 10 years ago. Do-hyun continued. They refused. They said the Dominion was too aggressive, too dangerous. They said your people deserved to starve. How do you know this? Veen's voice was barely a whisper. Because I asked. Because I listened. The arena was completely silent. Billions of beings watched, waiting to see what would happen. You are not here for power, Do-hyun said. You are here for your people. You are here because you think the throne is the only way to save them. Because no one else will help. Veen's hand trembled. You are correct. My children are dying. My people are dying. And the galaxy watches and does nothing. Do-hyun reached up and gently pushed Veen's hand away from his throat. If I survive this, I will help your people. I give you my word. Not because I have to. Not because you threatened me, but because it is the right thing to do. Why would you help us? We are your enemies. No, Do-hyun said. You are people who are suffering. That makes you my responsibility. That is what an emperor should be. Not someone who takes power, but someone who uses power to help those who need it. Lord Veen stared at him for a long moment. Then, slowly, he lowered his weapon. His massive body bent, and he knelt before Do-hyun. I withdraw my challenge, Veen said. His voice was rough with emotion. Not because I am defeated, but because I believe you. For the first time in 1,000 years, I believe that someone might actually care about my people. The arena exploded with noise. Some cheered. Many screamed in anger. But it did not matter. The ancient systems recognized the withdrawal. The combat trial was over. Do-hyun had won without throwing a single punch. Yuna was waiting for him when he returned to the ship. Her eyes were red from lack of sleep, but she was smiling. That was incredible, she said. How did you know it would work? Do-hyun shrugged. I did not know. But I knew that Lord Veen was not evil. He was desperate, and desperate people need hope more than they need enemies. 2 tests remained. The test of wisdom and the test of will. But something had changed. Beings across the galaxy had watched a human face certain death, with nothing but words and compassion, and some of them were beginning to wonder if maybe, just maybe, the sphere had chosen correctly. After the combat trial, things became more complicated. Do-hyun passed the test of wisdom by admitting that he did not know everything. When the ancient judges asked him questions about galactic history and law, he answered honestly. I do not know, he said again and again. But I know how to learn. And I know how to listen to those who do know. I know how to listen to those. I know how to listen. I know how to listen to those who do know. The judges were surprised. Every previous emperor had tried to appear all-knowing. Do-hyun was the first to admit his ignorance, and somehow, that honesty impressed them more than any display of knowledge could have. The test of will was even stranger. They placed him in a room where illusions attacked his mind. He saw his apartment burning. He saw his mother dying. He saw Earth being destroyed by alien weapons. But through it all, he remembered one thing. These were not real. His will was not about ignoring pain. It was about knowing what was true. He passed all 3 tests. He was now officially the emperor of the galactic throne, but not everyone accepted this. The message came late at night, when Do-hyun was alone in his quarters trying to sleep. A holographic figure appeared without warning. It was a human man, maybe 50 years old, with gray hair and a military uniform covered in medals. "So you are the new emperor," the man said. His Korean was perfect but cold. The convenience store worker who bought his crown for $10. Do-hyun sat up quickly. "Who are you? How did you get into my quarters?" "My name is Admiral Sohn. I am the highest-ranking human in the galactic fleet. I was taken from Earth 40 years ago, when I was just a child. I have spent my entire life proving that humans can be more than primitives." 40 years? You have been in space for 40 years? Yes, Sohn's voice was bitter. While you were selling cigarettes and eating instant noodles, I was fighting wars between stars. I commanded fleets. I conquered worlds. I earned my position through blood and sacrifice. Then you should be happy, Do-hyun said carefully. A human is now emperor. Is that not what you wanted? Sohn laughed. It was not a happy sound. Happy? I am disgusted. I spent 4 decades proving that humans deserve respect, and then you appear, a nobody with no skills and no training, and the sphere chooses you over me, over everyone who actually earned their place. Do-hyun understood now. This man was not just angry, he was hurt. He had worked his entire life for recognition, and now a stranger had received what he believed should be his. I did not ask for this, Do-hyun said quietly. That makes it worse. Sohn leaned forward. But I did not contact you to complain. I contacted you to warn you. There is a conspiracy. 12 civilizations have formed an alliance. They plan to assassinate you during the coronation ceremony. Why would you warn me? You just said you hate me. Because I hate them more. Sohn's eyes were dark with old anger. They have looked down on humans for centuries. They call us animals. They treat us like pets. If they kill you and take the throne, they will destroy Earth, just to prove that humans are worthless. So you want me to survive? I want you to fail on your own terms, Sohn said honestly. I want the galaxy to see that humans are not ready for this responsibility. But I do not want them to murder you like a criminal. That would prove nothing. It was a strange kind of honor. Do-hyun did not fully understand it, but he respected it. Tell me about the conspiracy, he said. Sohn explained everything. The alliance included 12 major species. They planned to strike from 12 directions, at the exact moment the crown was placed on Do-hyun's head. They had bribed guards, planted weapons, and arranged escape routes. It was a perfect plan. What can I do? Do-hyun asked. I have almost no allies. You have more than you think. For the first time, Sohn almost smiled. That thing you did with Lord Vane. The galaxy noticed. Some beings are beginning to believe in you. Not many, but some. After Sohn's image disappeared, Do-hyun could not sleep. He walked the corridors of the ship, thinking. Eventually, he found Yuna in the archives, still reading despite her exhaustion. You should rest, he said. So should you. She looked up from her documents. What is wrong? He told her everything. About Sohn, about the conspiracy, about the assassination plan. Yuna listened carefully, her scientific mind analyzing every detail. 12 civilizations, she said when he finished. That is a lot of enemies. Yes, but you also have potential allies, Lord Vane. The maintenance workers you befriended. The species who watched you pass the trials with honesty instead of arrogance. She pushed her glasses up. The question is, why did the sphere choose you? If we understand that, we might understand how you can survive. Yuna had been researching this question for days. Now she shared what she had found. The sphere does not measure strength or intelligence, she explained. It measures something much rarer. The ability to connect with others, to understand their pain, to change and adapt. Humans are not the best at anything. We are not the strongest, fastest, or smartest species. But we might be the best at caring about others, even when those others are different from us. That seems like a weak power, Do-hyun said. It is the most dangerous power in the galaxy. Yuna's voice was serious. Empires are built on fear and strength, but they fall apart because they cannot understand their own people. The sphere was not looking for a conqueror. It was looking for someone who could hold the galaxy together by actually giving a damn about everyone in it. Do-hyun thought about this. He thought about Lord Veen, who had come to kill him but left as an ally. He thought about the maintenance workers who had never been asked about their lives before. He thought about Admiral Sohn, bitter and angry, but still warning him because of some strange sense of human pride. I need to talk to Sohn again, Do-hyun said. Why? Because he has spent 40 years hating humans for abandoning him. But he is still human, and he still warned me. Do-hyun stood up. I think he wants to believe in something. He just forgot how. Finding Sohn was not easy. The Admiral had hidden himself well, but Do-hyun sent messages through channels Tarek provided, and eventually, Sohn agreed to meet in person. They met in a small room on the lower decks of the ship. Sohn looked older in person than he had in the hologram. His eyes were tired. His uniform was perfect, but the man wearing it seemed worn down. You wanted to see me, Sohn said. Make it quick. I want you to join my court, Do-hyun said. Sohn stared at him. What? I want you to be my military advisor. You know the galaxy. You know the fleets. You know things I will never know. I need your help. Did you not hear me before? I want you to fail. I heard you. Do-hyun met the Admiral's eyes. You spent 40 years proving you were not like other humans, that you were better, stronger, more worthy of respect. But maybe you have it wrong. Maybe you should have spent that time proving that humans are worth respecting because of what we are, not in spite of it. Sohn was silent. You warned me because somewhere inside, you still care about Earth. About humans. About the species that abandoned you. Do-hyun stepped closer. I am not asking you to trust me. I am asking you to give humanity one more chance. Not to prove we are superior, but to prove we are worth believing in. For a long moment, Sohn did not move. Then something broke inside him. His face crumpled. And Admiral Sohn, who had not cried in 40 years, wept like a child. I am so tired, he whispered. I am so tired of being alone. Do-hyun put his hand on the old soldier's shoulder. You are not alone anymore. The coronation ceremony was in 2 days. The conspiracy was still moving forward. But now Do-hyun had something he had not had before. He had hope. The throne world was the most beautiful place Do-hyun had ever seen. It sat at the exact center of the galaxy, surrounded by ancient defense systems that had protected it for 100,000 years. The planet itself was covered in crystal forests and golden oceans. The sky was filled with rings made of pure light. The coronation hall was built into the largest crystal mountain on the planet. It could hold 1 million beings. Today, every seat was filled. Representatives from every civilization in the galaxy had come to witness this moment. Some came to honor their new emperor. Many came hoping to watch him die. Do-hyun stood at the entrance of the hall, wearing ceremonial robes that felt too heavy on his shoulders. Beside him stood Yuna, who had refused to leave his side. Behind them waited Tarek, Lady Mireille, and the crew of the Eternal Mandate. Are you ready? Yuna asked quietly. No, Do-hyun admitted. But I do not think I will ever be ready. So we might as well begin. He walked forward into the hall. The path to the throne was long. Do-hyun walked past thousands of alien faces. Some looked at him with curiosity, others with hatred. A few with something that might have been hope. He kept his eyes forward and his steps steady. Halfway down the path, he passed a section filled with reptilian warriors. Lord Veen sat among them, his massive form recognizable even from a distance. When Do-hyun passed, Veen stood and bowed deeply. His warriors followed. It was a gesture of respect that surprised many in the audience. Further along, Do-hyun saw the maintenance workers he had befriended on the ship. They had somehow gotten permission to attend the ceremony. When he passed them, they called out his name in their clicking language. He smiled and waved, and the crowd murmured with surprise. Emperors did not wave at common workers. Near the throne, Admiral Sohn stood with a small group of human officers. They were the only humans in the galaxy besides Do-hyun and Yuna who had been allowed to attend. Sohn's face was hard, but his eyes were alert. He was watching for threats. Finally, Do-hyun reached the steps of the throne. The throne itself was made of light. It shifted and changed constantly, responding to the emotions of whoever approached it. Right now, it pulsed with a soft golden color, the same color as the light from the sphere of ascension. High Priest Talon, an ancient being who had performed this ceremony for 3 previous emperors, floated forward. His body was made entirely of crystalline energy. His voice echoed through the hall like music. We gather today to witness the coronation of the 147th Emperor of the Galactic Throne. Park Do-hyun of Earth, do you accept the responsibilities of the crown? Do you swear to protect all beings under your rule, regardless of species, world, or station? I do, Do-hyun said. Do you swear to uphold the ancient laws and to govern with wisdom, strength, and compassion? I do. Then kneel and receive your crown. Do-hyun knelt. The high priest raised the crown of stars, a circlet of light that had existed since the first emperor took the throne. It floated above Do-hyun's head, preparing to descend. That was when the assassins struck. 12 attacks came from 12 directions, exactly as Sohn had predicted. Weapons fired. Explosions erupted. The crowd screamed and scattered. For a moment, everything was chaos, but Do-hyun was ready. Lord Veen and his warriors moved first. They had been positioned perfectly to intercept 3 of the attacks. Their massive bodies blocked energy blasts meant for Do-hyun. Their weapons cut down assassins before they could get close. The crystalline beings who had attended as observers suddenly formed a shield of pure energy. They had sworn no allegiance to Do-hyun, but he had spent hours learning about their dying culture and promising to preserve their histories. 4 attacks splashed harmlessly against their barrier. Admiral Sohn and his human officers moved like lightning. They had trained for 40 years in galactic warfare. 2 more assassins fell before they could fire a second shot, but 3 attackers made it through. They were specialists, chosen for their speed and skill. They dodged past the defenders and charged directly at Do-hyun. Do-hyun did not run. He did not fight. Instead, he reached into his robes and pulled out the sphere of ascension. It had been returned to him after the selection process, though no one knew why. Now, it began to glow. He spoke a single word. Yuna had found it in the deepest archives, in a text so old that most scholars thought it was legend. It was a word in the original imperial tongue, a command built into the very foundation of the throne's power. Enough. The sphere pulsed. A wave of energy expanded outward from Do-hyun. It passed through the entire hall, through the planet, through the galaxy itself. Every being in existence felt it at the same moment. It was not pain. It was not force. It was something harder to describe. It was the feeling of being truly seen, of having your struggles acknowledged, of being told that you mattered. The 3 assassins stopped mid-stride. Their weapons fell from their hands. They stared at Do-hyun with confusion and something like wonder. Why? One of them asked. Why do you not destroy us? Why do you not take revenge? Do-hyun looked at them with sadness. Because that is not what the galaxy needs. The galaxy has had enough emperors who ruled through fear and violence. It needs something different now. It needs someone who believes that even enemies can become friends. The assassin who had spoken fell to his knees, then the second, then the third. Not because they were forced, but because they finally understood. The sphere had not chosen Do-hyun for his strength or intelligence. It had chosen him because he was exactly what the galaxy needed. Someone who could see the good in everyone, even in those who wanted him dead. High Priest Talon floated forward, seemingly unsurprised by everything that had happened. The ceremony will continue. The crown of stars descended onto Do-hyun's head. Light filled the hall. Light filled the planet. Light filled the galaxy. Park Do-hyun, who had been a convenience store worker just 1 week ago, was now emperor of 100,000 worlds. When the light faded, he stood and turned to face the crowd. 1,000,000 beings looked at him, waiting for his first imperial command. What would he demand? What laws would he change? What enemies would he punish? Do-hyun smiled. My first decree, he said, his voice carrying through the hall, is simple. No one eats alone. There was confused silence. Then Lord Vane laughed, a deep booming sound. The maintenance workers clicked their approval. Admiral Sohn shook his head, but he was smiling. Yuna stepped up beside Do-hyun. What does that mean? She whispered. It means we are going to feed the hungry, he said, starting with the Dominion worlds, then moving on to every planet where people are suffering. The galaxy has enough resources for everyone. It just forgot how to share. In the weeks that followed, historians would debate why the sphere had chosen a human. The prevailing theory was simple. Humanity had spent its entire existence fighting itself, failing, learning, and trying again. Humans knew what it meant to struggle without giving up. They knew what it meant to hope, even when hope seemed foolish. Emperor Park Do-hyun never forgot where he came from. The flagship Eternal Mandate always kept a supply of instant noodles in the imperial quarters. His flip-flops were preserved in a museum, but he had exact copies made that he wore whenever he was alone. Admiral Sohn became his most trusted advisor. The bitter old soldier found peace in serving an emperor he actually believed in. Yuna became the first human ambassador to the Galactic Council, using her scientific mind to solve problems that had seemed unsolvable for centuries. And once a year, without fail, Emperor Do-hyun returned to Earth. He visited the flea market in Busan. He walked among the stalls. He talked to the vendors. And sometimes, when he found something interesting, he bought it. After all, the last thing he bought for $10 had made him emperor of the galaxy. Who knew what the next purchase might bring?